Hello, and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Beyond. I'm the host, Martin Slade Jr., and the founder of the New World Generation UD1 Worldwide. Today we'll be talking or discussing various topics concerning God. We'll be talking about how human beings ascend to the light realms. We'll be talking about extraterrestrials throughout our history. We'll be talking about, well, first of all, do you believe in angels? Do you believe in the spirit world? Do you know anything about it? Have you heard anything concerning life after death principles? These are some of the topics that you won't find in your Sunday go to church kind of sermon, and you'll have to do some extensive research if you're reading about this or going on YouTube. But these are some of the things that we seldom pay any attention to, but they play a very intricate role in our development and in our life, in today's life and in the future. The first topic is the topic that has been well discussed all throughout history, and that is God. God being a generic name for a principle that far exceeds what we expect in terms of reality. In other words, when we say God, there are so many different terms that are used to attribute what we call God. For instance, in the ancient days, God was a beam of light, a burning bush. God was a tree. We worshiped spirits, both elemental and nature spirits. There's a host of words that define the word God. The God I'm talking about is the God that, well, not necessarily a biblical sense, but what I interpret to be or conceptualize God to be. In the beginning was the Word. The Word, the way I see it, was vibration. But before even vibration, there was consciousness. There's something very consistent about our world, whether seen or unseen, is that there is consciousness. And consciousness is, in essence, the vital force, the vital energy that motivates and creates and moves the universe. Consciousness. If I were to define God by my terms, I would first start off with consciousness, because consciousness says I am, and I am is the first cause. It is the spiritual realm that everything comes from. It's the first thing that happens. Now, the thing that is ill-conceived or misconceived in our evaluation of what God is number one, we think that when we said let there be light and we were talking about God, we thought, well, perhaps maybe our world is the first world. Well, we're in a very small solar system and our world is infinitely small. But before our creation, there were billions and trillions of creations all throughout this universe and other universes. So when we look at it from a Genesis point of view, we're only talking about in the beginning there was darkness upon the face of the earth. Well, that just means that we were in space and our planets were starting to form out of the cosmic dust that's all around us, and the solar system was being created, and particles were coming together, and atoms and molecules and neurons and protons, and were all colliding, and that created what we call our solar system and our world today. But the universe, I don't think you can ascribe a time to it. First of all, let's get this clear. Time is a construct that we put together to try to understand our place in the universe. And there is no such thing as time. However, we need some sort of construct in order to say that we are this or we are that, we got to be at this location at this particular point. Time is a construct. It's a construct of our mind, and it's just a way of measuring things. But getting to the point about God, they say, well, how can there be who created God? Well, first of all, that's just another fallacy that things are created. It may be very hard to conceive, but all things have always been. You have to sit down and think about that for a while. All things have always been. And for us to actually know all the answers to where God came from and who created God, I don't think we'll be able to know that, not in this physical realm or in this physical body or in this state of mind. When you're dealing with things that are beyond the beyond, it requires something more than just the so-called reality that we have constructed on this earth. We have to go beyond our physical, so-called normal realm of reality. We have to go beyond the beyond, like I said. There's another thing. In the beginning, there was this sound called, and they said it was the word, and the word was described to as a sound of vibration. Vibration moving the atoms and the molecules and creating friction, and the friction created light and energy and explosions and neurons and protons, and then creation came into being. Physical matter came. But what preceded that was consciousness. If you want to describe anything as God, I would say God is consciousness first. And then it took upon itself to create physical matter. And it created all that is, all that was, all that will be. So let's look at God not as a man sitting on a throne with a long beard. Let's look at God as something that we have yet to completely understand or even discover, but are in the process of revealing what God is, maybe through science, through meditation, through prayer. Maybe it'll be found somewhere written down in books in some ancient pyramid or some papyri that's in the mountains of Tibet. Well, we don't have a complete conception of God, but today we do know that if you are one who is attuned to telepathy, or you're in tune with your psychic forces, or you ascribe to some spiritual guide or angel or philosophy, you are on the path to discover what God is. The most important thing is that we have to search and find God. You won't find him in the church. I know, some people think they're going to be saved. Some people think that the Bible is the Word, and if that's what you believe it is. But the Word was before the Word was written. The Word was God, and the Word is God. But you don't have to use the word God. You could say source. You can say divine creator. There's so many different words to describe God. Light is a very important element in the universe, because in everything there is this essence of light. As a matter of fact, it's my understanding that we, if we were to see ourselves in our reality, we are beings of light. And of course have degenerated somewhat into these physical bodies, and of course we think that this is everything that there is. And yet in fact, this is the prison that keeps our light bodies imprisoned. And the whole idea is to ascend out of these light bodies after we've acquired a certain amount of knowledge and understanding of ourselves and the universe. And then we move forward to a higher realm. Hence, you will see the angels, and they will be your reality. Hence, you will see the extraterrestrials. They're part of our reality. And nature spirits of all kinds. In ancient days, some of the Europeans, they say, oh, these primitive people, they're so primitive. They always talk about demons and devils and spirits. But everything has a spirit, because everything is spirit. The trees have a spirit. And in the ancient days, people would not chop down a tree until they first paid homage to the tree. And in the ancient days, they would not plow their fields unless they prayed to the spirits of the earth and the elementals of fire, water, earth, and ether, and air, because they knew that there were some forces around them which controlled the environment, which was invisible to themselves, but they soon learned to respect. So there are various dimensions, there are various realms. Now the realms of the extraterrestrials, well, everybody says, when are they coming? Well, surprise, they were here before we got here. And their habitation is all around our planet. They're in the earth. Shasta Mountain is a good example. They have so many places in our ocean. They have underground bases and locations. They sit upon their extraterrestrial aircraft in the skies, and they observe us. Sometimes referred to the Bible as the Watchers. They're everywhere, and they are also on the moon, and they're on Mars, and they traverse the planets, and they go about their way. Most of them not to interfere with our evolution. However, our evolution is somewhat predicated on their arrival throughout the course of our history. They have changed our civilizations, they have educated us, they have taught us the elements of fire, earth, wind. They have shown us things that today we have lost the knowledge of. They play an integral role in our future as well. They have a law, according to the Regency Council, and there are many interplanetary councils that they are not supposed to interfere with our evolution or with our planet. However, there are renegades such as the Greys and the Orions and a few others who just run around amok on our planet, and they have their agenda too. It's called hybridization. A lot of our origins, and I'm not talking about our physical origins, but that can be included to our DNA, but our spiritual origins and where we came from, we originally came from other planets and other star systems, and we became prisoners here. Earth is like a boot camp. It really is. We came here to learn knowledge of ourselves, and ourself is God. It is God seeking God, God returning to God. I don't want you to think that God is a man. I don't want you to think God is anything physical. Yet, in appearance, it is apparent that his consciousness is everywhere in the world, because everything that you see is God. There's nothing separate from God. There's nothing opposing God. So you always hear about evil and good, and they're in opposition. There is no evil, there is no good, there just is. Of course, in our world, we have judgment, we have commandments. We know that certain things are just not in nature's best interest and our interest. However, in the light of God, all things are good, all things are equal, all things are one.
And now we ask ourselves, what am I? Who am I? Where am I going? Well, the easiest part of this puzzle is to understand we and everything else is made up of the cosmic dust seen in outer space. Planets, stars, galaxies, and even our own physical bodies are made up of the same primal dust that have formed all physical matter. So, what am I has been answered. Next, who am I? You are infinite radiant light. You possess a soul matrix. You are God discovering and creating yourself. You are God finding God. Many different extraterrestrial races have visited our planet, and in many ways, each race has had a profound effect upon our evolution, our spiritual growth, our scientific knowledge. If and when you come in contact with an extraterrestrial being, do not attempt to touch our guest, but instead show empty hands and raise your right hand. This will let them know you are aware of their existence and that you will not hurt them. If you do encounter an extraterrestrial, be cautious, be polite, try not to show fear. Telepathy is the language for advanced sentient life, via thought to thought. Ask them what is it they wish to do. Do not volunteer your body for research and development programs, such as the hybridization project. Realize that when they are also in the third dimension, they are subject to pain and easily infected from human viruses. Avoid physical contact with extraterrestrials, such as grabbing, hugging. This may be misunderstood as an act of aggression. And the last, you must take note of the fact that, number one, we are eternal, there is no death. Everything is one. Change is inevitable, and we are God finding God. Extraterrestrials are not God. They are our family. I would like to bring to your attention that many of the ancient civilizations were in fact founded and established by extraterrestrials. This can be seen in the Aztec and Mayan temples and structures, which still exist today. The structure in Giza, such as the pyramids, the Sphinx, and other gigantic monuments, could never have been constructed using primitive tools. We look into the universe in wonderment. How could these huge blocks, which are thousands of tons in weight, be erected with such accuracy such as Stonehenge and Easter Island. The Dogon tribe in Africa point to the sky when they're asked where did they come from. The Native American Indians also point to the sky and refer to the flying spaceships, which were metallic, as sky people. Most ancient civilizations speak, write, and depict interacting with extraterrestrial races on cave drawings, ancient writings, chants, and even ceremonies. In order for us to understand our future, we must discover our past.
Welcome back. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but extraterrestrial beings are presently attempting to contact human beings. Well, there is a problem there. Number one, when they do attempt to make contact with us, they're systematically blown out of the air. Of course, what's so ironic about that is that the extraterrestrial aircraft that are being blown out of the air are able to do that by the technology that has been reverse engineered by the sources that have crashed. You know, Roswell and a few other places. There's another thing I want to cover that sometimes is spoken of and made fun of, and that's little green men. I notice that when we talk about extraterrestrials, they're depicted in various ways. Well, if you want to refute the fact that they don't exist or you want to feel comfortable, then you can always refer to them as those little green men, ha 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 ha, and move on and put your head in the ground. Well, they're not little green men. As a matter of fact, of all the extraterrestrials I've come in contact, I haven't met one that's green. Sometimes often referred to as grays. Those are the little ones who go around and who do the hybridization program. They are biological entities. They do not have a soul matrix, and they have done some rather hideous things. Then again, in all races, which we're talking about concerning extraterrestrials, just like in the human race, there are some good ones and there are some bad ones. To my understanding, there's probably about 8 different varieties of grays, and not all of them are harmful or detrimental to our society. I also noticed there's something else that I find a little bit disturbing, aside from the fact that we do autopsies on them like they also do on us, is that they're always depicted by the media or social media or the movies as being ugly and grotesque and heavily salivating from their mouths. Well, that's not always the case, although I suspect there are probably a few that do that. The ones I've come in contact with, such as the Arcturians and a few others, are highly intelligent, sensitive, aware, and also aware of the fact that there are interplanetary and cosmic laws which prevent them from interfering with us directly or indirectly in some cases. And that's a violation of international or interplanetary law. Oftentimes when we do hear about them, there's a media frenzy. And of course, like I said, once again, they're depicted as various looking, hideous, ugly looking creatures. Now, I must admit, I cannot vividly recall, but there are reptilian races. And I must admit, they're not the best looking type of aliens or extraterrestrials you'd want to see. There are also other races. There's one particularly that we are aware of in the United States that live in the Shasta Mountains in California, which are Nordic, blonde hair, blue eye, and basically gentle and kind and humanitarian. Although they have also been known to be on the gray airships, and they are used as bait to get people aboard their ships because they look so much like us. Arcturians and Pleiadians and others, Orions, they have been very instrumental, as we have spoken earlier, having a great influence on our civilization and building some of the most incredible structures. A lot of the technology that we are privy to today is due to the fact that we do or have done reverse engineering on some of the aircraft that have crashed. Laser technology, calculators, computers, a host of other things, medicines. Those things came about by reverse engineering. And of course, there are a lot of other things that we're not privy to know, that our government won't let us know. Speaking of that, there are some governments that are now opening up their files. There's some on our television, alien files, and they speak very candidly about interactions with the military, interactions with our space agency. America's not as forthcoming as, say, England or Russia or South America. If you do go to YouTube, you'll see, and they're not all quacks and crazy people, you'll see documents and document evidence from very influential people in the military and the science community who will show you formations of UFOs in the skies. You know, there's one thing that I find really amazing, and I think this is very well documented, that there was a case where UFOs flew over the White House. That's right, the United States White House in Washington, D.C. And jets were scrambled in an attempt to intercept them. And this happened twice. Yet, in fact, in our literature, and this stuff has not been brought to our attention. Maybe sometimes subtly or maybe very quickly. It might be in one of the UFO documentaries. But what does it take to believe that we are not alone?
Hi, I'm Martin Slade. I'm the founder of the New World Generation, Unity One, worldwide. I'm here at downtown Hilo in Hawaii on the Big Island. I am here to establish contact between us so-called human sentient beings, astral entities, and advanced extraterrestrial beings. The Earth Space Base Center. The reason why I'm doing this is one day those starships will come down to Earth and will interact with mankind or humankind or all sentient life. You know, Hilo, the Big Island of Hawaii, purports that this place where we are right now, we're situated at the very top of Lemuria, the ancient city that was thousands of years ago. Well, it still remains here. Portholes, stargates, and a host of other terrestrial and celestial places in this island. I hope in the future, as a race, as a species, we'll evolve. I believe that the assignment given to me by the Arcturians, astral entities, and the angelic realm will create a meeting place between them and ourselves. It is a very interesting time in our history. It is very interesting to be a part of this whole phenomenon. I'm not an avatar, a master, a saint. This is not a cult. I am a servant of the light. Welcome to the New World Generation, and welcome to the Unity One worldwide organization. So come join us, participate, help us with your contributions. I'm Martin, Unity One Worldwide, the New World Generation.
In conclusion, I'd just like also to bring to your attention that extraterrestrials don't always come flying in ships. Sometimes, and perhaps maybe the majority of them, are transdimensionals, traversing space, outer space, through wormholes, through portholes. They come to our planet. And I would suggest to you that you don't have such a horrible, horrible concept of them as being bad or benign. Look at them as I said before, as our sisters and our brothers. And when you're in contact with them, make them feel at home. Also, I would also suggest that we take a good look at ourselves and see how we are going to interact with them in the future. It's inevitable. I'm not going to pretend to be a soothsayer or a fortune teller as to when they will arrive. Well, they're already here. So I think what it is inevitable that we are going to have to come to the realization that we're going to have to get along with them. Like I said, they're our family. So look at the literature that's available. Go on YouTube. Discern what is fact and what is fiction according to your understanding. Don't be closed-minded. Don't listen to the fear-mongers. Don't listen to the people who laugh at little green men who are ignorant. If you are presently now engaging with extraterrestrials, attempt to engage with them telepathically with an open heart and with an open mind. And always ask them, what is it that you want? What is it that we can do to make this a better world? Thank you.